Well, bear farming for me started way back in 1993 when I walked onto a bear farm for the first time in my life in southern China and was absolutely reeling in shock with what I saw. Moon bears in tiny wire cages in a dungeon of a farm and vocalising with very nervous popping sounds every time I walked closely to the cages, because they obviously thought that I was meaning them harm and going to take their bile as the farmers had been doing every day for decades. At one point I must have backed into a cage and a female bear put her paw through the bars of the cage and touched my shoulder. I turned around in shock, her paw was there, and it seemed the most natural thing in the world to take it, which I did, and she didn't hurt me at all, which she had every right to do. She just squeezed my fingers very rhythmically, and I have always said to children, you know, a message passed between us, and although I've never seen that bear again, she started the dream of the China Bear Rescue. This is our education room where people come to be informed about the reality of bear farming. So we talk about the bear bile that can easily and cheaply be replaced by herbs and synthetics, and introduce the doctors that we're working with here in China. We talk about the products that we see being sold containing bear bile, whether it's eye drops that are routinely used within traditional Chinese medicine containing bear bile, and then, believe it or not, we had the toothpaste, which is also used for mouth ulcers and dental pain, and last but not least the bear bile wine, which, if anyone's in any doubt where it came from. We signed an agreement with the Chinese government in October 2000 to rescue 500 bears, and since then the floodgates opened and these bears have been rolling in through the doors of Animals Asia, where we prioritise them for basic health checks followed by surgery. But in that time we can keep them quite comfortably even in their tiny wire cages, because for the first time we give them free access to food and water. We put straw on top of their cages and we provide toys to play with. Then we go on to cutting them out of the cages and providing health checks, taking blood, seeing the sort of injuries that they have, which would fill a catalogue of a horror story, and then go on to doing the major abdominal surgery that every single bear needs, the gallbladders removed, the paw tips perhaps tidied up where the bears have literally had their paw tips cut away by the farmers, and of course all the dental problems. Either the bears have shattered their own teeth from repetitive bar biting through years of stereotypic and cage-crazy behaviour, or the bear farmers have actually chopped them back to gum level. And finally, if we can get them through all of this, then we've got them in their recovery cages where our fantastic nurses are giving them medication every day. And sadly, as I say, we do lose some of them, little mouse here that died eventually of cancer, where we bury them in our graves, where every single bear has a name and has the respect he never had on the farm. And this is the final part of the education room, where we show free and happy bears and try to engage the public with, you know, how simply and efficiently we can really create a new and happy life for these guys. Whether it's toys that have been donated or bear-sized ice lollies stuffed full of fruits and nuts, giving them swimming pools to play in, whole coconuts. These bears need to be active and busy their whole lives. Hello, sweetheart. Well, that was the very dark and dingy but very necessary education room done, and now we're on to see some fabulous things with bears having a great time in the enclosures. Come here, Starving. Okay. And this is one of our rescued dogs, Starving Dog. Not a very nice name, but it reflects her very tragic past, where we found her literally starving to death. And here on my right is the rehab centre, which is probably the darkest enclosure that we have on site, but it's for new bears that have recently been in their crush cages. They've received the surgery, and so these dark and dingy dens are actually wonderful for these bears, because it gives them that sort of comfort of being able to go back inside to a rather sombre environment. This is the place where they learn how to be bears. They start being very slowly introduced with other members of their own species. They start to be integrated together in socialised groups. They learn how to forage, they learn how to play, they learn how to protect and defend themselves. They learn pretty much all there is to learn about being an ursine species. We're now going to carry on with the tour around 25 acres of beautiful sanctuary with 14 enclosures housing bouncing happy bears. We've rescued 276, so we've got 177 alive today. On my right are what we call our polytunnels, where the bears are in quarantine for 45 days before they're considered free of infection and able to then start perhaps being integrated with the other bears following their surgery and their dentals and everything else they need to repair their broken bodies as a result of their treatment on the farms. On my left here we have our special care area where bears like our brain damaged beautiful big buff of a bear Rupert has been here for about the past 10 years. And coming up on my right, one of the actual cages where bears like Rupert have been freed from after maybe 10-20 years of their life. And here on my left we have our brand new hospital which has bear preparation rooms, has clinics, has surgeries, has a small animal room, a laboratory, and then at the top we have rooms for our staff to make sure that the bears are safe and sound down below. And onto our beautiful herb garden where we grow the 54 different herbal alternatives to bear bile. Remember what we said before, that no one is going to die for the lack of bear bile, especially so that we grow these green and luscious plants here on site. And our garden of hope and sorrow, where we pay tribute as a family to the bears that we have loved and lost along the way during the past 10 years. It is a time of remembering animals that really either had a few years with us or actually had no time at all, but especially celebrating bears like Andrew, who died unfortunately in 2006. Andrew was one of the peacemakers. He was